Saw the money and got activated. Saw that money and got activated. I saw that money and got activated.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're back on the hard body. In the last video we were kind of diagnosing some small problems. I had said that I had started taking the starter out. So we actually got the starter out. Turns out it's not an easy process. For those that are going to be taking the starter out, you need a boxed in normal style wrench for the top bolt. And you can use a socket wrench and a ratchet on the bottom bolt. And then you once you get all the starter out, you'll drop it down, and there's another 14mm bolt on the power wire on the starter. You take that off, and then there's a clip plug for the ground. You unplug that, and it just barely fits between the frame and the torsion bar, and then it gets out. So I did pull it out, and I was fiddling with the idea of just tearing the starter apart and cleaning it and lubricating it and throwing it back in to see if it still makes the noise. And then as I start trying to take it apart, it's just too rusty and cruddy, and I tried testing it, and I wasn't succeeding in that. So I just said screw it and went and bought a whole new starter, which we have over here. Grab this. So right here's our all new starter. The plug is actually different than the one that's on the truck, but it's just a single wire plug. I mean, it's just a ground, so we'll probably either just cut this and splice it to the wire that's on the truck, or see if we can possibly just pull this whole pin out all together and slide it in the other connector. But aside from that, got a starter with a warranty now. So I did notice the other starter had a lot of play in this here wheel. Like, you would shake this back and forth and it would make all kinds of noise. So I think that the actual bearings inside of it were trashed, because this one is not loose whatsoever. It does not make any types of noise when you move it around. So my best guess is that the bearing in the starter was toast. So we're gonna try and get that thrown in there, and then I kind of plan on just throwing the starter in and just driving this thing in the warm weather for right now. I made a poll on Facebook, or like a poll on how we're gonna wide body this, because after doing the math and measuring, so I want to get the 5x5.5 adapters, but those adapters are 2 inches thick. Now on the back, I know for a fact, I don't know if you guys remember when we put the 2-inch spacers back here, but the tire was sticking out almost 1.5 inches past out the fender. And then we had the 2-inch spacers on here before, but the only way we could fit it was with a stretch tire, and the tire sidewall was like this tall. Right now, if we put a 2-inch spacer on this tire will be sticking almost 1 inch out of this fender, with my measurements. Now it won't stick out as much as the rear because it does have camber. So the poll I put on Facebook was to buy 4-wheel drive fenders for the front, and then buy another set of 4-wheel drive fenders for the rear and mold it into the fender, or buy the wide body flares and put the flares around the fenders and just cut out the fender wherever that lays at. And so far, surprisingly, the fender flares are winning right now. Everyone preferred the fender flares over the wide body kit. I honestly like both. So it looks like we will be putting the fender flares on here, which is obviously the cheaper alternative. You know, and so we'll have to figure that out. The good news is if I do put the wide body fender flares on, they're not very expensive, and you have to cut out the same amount of stuff as you would for the other fenders. So I can always buy them, put them on, and if I don't like them, just buy the 4-wheel drive fenders and then mold the one on the rear. So it's not really doing any harm. So it will hurt my soul to cut up this bed on this side, just because this side of the bed is literally perfect. There's absolutely no rust on this side of the bed. The other side I can't say the same for, but the front fenders, it doesn't really hurt me too much to cut these up, because you can buy these fenders all day long, and these fenders are kind of trash to begin with. So you have that to look forward to. Some other little things that we still have to do aesthetically wise, but the good news is as I said in the last video, the first one would be coming up here, but it's actually going to be coming up here a lot sooner than I actually thought. So I'm hoping within the next couple of days to get the first gen up here. We're probably just gonna drive it up here with no fenders, like I said, and then just start hammering stuff out on that. So this is probably gonna be one of the last videos for a little bit on the Hardbody. I'm probably lying to you right now, but the goal is to get the first gen in here and start hammering out on the first gen, because I do want to drive it to UCC. I know I said in the last couple of videos that I didn't want to rush the truck and I didn't want to take it to UCC, but the way I'm looking at it is, you know, these opportunities only come once. You know, there's only one time in my life that I'm going to be 22 years old and I can drive my truck on a road trip with all of my friends and have a blast and everything. Next year I could be paralyzed and not be able to drive my truck, you know what I mean? So like, the way I look at it is, I'm gonna take this opportunity to drive my truck with a big smile on my face with all my friends to a big event where everyone else is just as happy as I am to have a truck. So we're gonna knock that thing out. We're gonna freaking pound. We're gonna knock it out. We're gonna get it all done, and we're gonna drive it to UCC. So enough rambling on and talking. I'm not gonna really show too much about putting this in because it's already a pain to put in, and I mean, there's really not a lot you need to see. I kind of explained everything you guys need to know. So we're gonna throw this thing in there, hope that it fixes our issue, and we'll go from there. Okay, we got the starter in. We're gonna go for our test start. Oh, here goes nothing. Doesn't sound like it has the issue anymore, so that's good. And it started right up. Before it would like half crank and then like die and then start. So I don't know what that's all about. I don't have a hat on right now, but one other thing I want to talk about real quick before we put this thing on the ground and put everything back together. So I lied about the use a box-in wrench. If you use a box-in wrench, you will hate your life, I promise. Let me show you guys what I used real quick. So I ended up figuring out that the thing you want to use to get that top bolt out is this exact setup. Literally, don't use a longer ratchet, don't use a longer extension, don't use a long socket. You want a short socket with this extension. I'm not sure how long this extension is. I want to say I'd say that's a 6-inch extension with a normal size ratchet. You can't use an extended swivel head ratchet, none of that jazz. This is the only thing that will fit in there. If you use this, you'll save yourself a lot of time. I didn't realize that this would work, and I used a box-in wrench without a ratcheting wrench, and the bolt's about that long. So you can imagine how long I was under there twisting. Frame clearance and stuff like that is the reason why you have to use this exact ratchet, because you'll hit the frame with anything longer than this. So this will save you a ton of time. This ratchet, use this exact setup to get the upper bolt out and back in, obviously. So we're gonna throw the intake back on, throw everything else back on, tighten this battery terminal back up, and then I think we're good to go. So okay, got it all on the ground, got everything tidied up, and we're gonna, one, start it and see if it does it, and two, drive it out, because I think we're gonna drive it for the rest of the week if everything goes well. See what she does. Cross her fingers, boys. Started great. Only time with others to check engine light now. For what, I wonder? We had to have left something unplugged because it doesn't let me rev up. What the heck? I done messed something up now. I don't know what we could have left unplugged. That's strange. Now we got to figure that problem out. Okay, so I don't know what the issue was. I messed with a couple things and we fixed the issue, so we're gonna pull it out now. got all of our tools and everything loaded up in the Hardbody. Because we're gonna go home and we got to put the Cummins back together and then get the Cummins up here. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna include the whole Cummins thing in this video or if I'm going to wait and just make this part of the video. But yeah, we're gonna enjoy the Hardbody for a couple of days. Fingers crossed nothing goes wrong. But yeah. Okay guys, we are back at the home garage. Got all of our tools in here. It's a mess in here because we're slowly transitioning stuff back up to the other shop. Alright, so basically we just gotta throw everything we just took off back in. But for the most part, it all came apart pretty easily. I would say the biggest issue we had was getting the lower control arm bolt out, but that should go in pretty easy now that we've had it out. So I don't want to sit here and do a whole lot of talking, and I probably won't even film a whole lot of it, just because I mean you guys already saw me take it apart. So we're gonna try and throw this stuff back in. I think it's like 9 o'clock right now. Actually it's 10, so I don't know how long we'll be out here, but I'd like to get the lower control arm in. I mean, really, there's not a lot left. I think we could get I think we could get it back together tonight, if I'm being honest, if we kind of grind hard. So, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and talk, so we're going to get this thing thrown back in there real quick, or get this stuff in there real quick, and I'll catch up to you guys when we make a little bit of progress. Basically, what's going on here is when you level the first gens, there's a puck you add on top of the spring, and there's so much tension between the upper and lower control arms and that spring that you can't physically push this to get the upper ball joint to bolt into the knuckle. So you have to use a ratchet strap to get it to tighten up, and it is the sketchiest thing ever because these ratchet straps will snap because of the tension on the bottom of the control arm. So I'm like, super sketchy. I think I'm gonna put a second ratchet strap on here real quick, just as a backup. If this thing snaps, I don't want to get hit in the face with anything. Oh my god, I'm so scared. Woo! I am terrified. Alright, I think we can get a nut on that. Let's try that out for size. Another sketchy thing is putting your hand in between all of this madness. Okay, we have enough threading on currently. I'm going to disconnect this one. Okay, we are now tightening up the beast. I feel like I'm in a cage with an animal that could attack you at any moment, and you have no idea when it's going to attack. This thing could unleash and ruin my life right now. Honestly, what I'm really scared for is to loosen the ratchet strap. That's a journey I do not want to involve myself in. Oh my god, I'm so scared. Oh, okay. That wasn't too bad. I'll take that. Alright guys, it's about 12 a.m. I'm whooped. I'm covered in probably every type of grease you can think of, every type of soot. I'm just covered, and I feel I need to go take a shower. Anyhow, look at this. The suspension's all back together. Calipers hooked up. Turbo's back on. Oil feed lines are on. Oil returns on. Stacks on. Intercooler piping's tightened up. The other side's on too. You'll just have to believe me on that because I'm not walking all the way over there. And basically, all we have to do now is put the battery in. But see, I was going to drive this with no fenders up to the shop, but then I started thinking, where's the battery going to sit? So we probably will have to put the fenders on, at least on that side. And and then hook the battery up, and this thing is going to be drivable after that, obviously, if there's no issues. Actually, we might have to put the fender back on for this side too, because the voltage regulator needs a ground. If not, this truck will overcharge and blow the battery to smithereens. So it looks like we'll have to put the fenders back on, which isn't a huge deal, considering, you know, I've done it 1,000 times, so we should be able to do it pretty quick. I would say give it another day or two, and this thing should be on its way up to the shop. I'm not even going to bother putting a hood on it or anything like that. We'll probably just throw all the new parts and stuff in the bed, throw anything we need to take up there with it up to in the bed and in the cab and everything. And as soon as it gets to the shop, we're tearing, I don't know, we're not going to tear the suspension back apart quite yet because I want to leave it rollable. But we are going to start tearing the interior apart, so that way we can get to the cab bolts and start getting the body lift on this thing. We will start stripping the bed down, and then I'm hoping to pick up some clean body panels this weekend. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that I can even find somebody to buy some from this weekend. But yeah, I'm pretty geeked. We really busted butt and got this thing put back together. Yeah, so I'm just excited to actually like want to work on it, because when it's here, I have no motivation to work on it at all, because it's just, I have the shop now, and the shop's so much nicer than this because it's so much cleaner. The floors are cleaner, everything is cleaner, there's not crud and crap everywhere. The lighting's better, it's not so cramped and tight. There's just a lot of reasons. So I'm really, really excited to get this thing up there and just start thrashing on it and have it ready for UCC. I'm so excited for it, I really am. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this video, guys. I know it was kind of all over the place, but I'm kind of happy because we got 2 vehicles up and running in one video, and it's pretty rare. So you gotta at least leave me a like for that. So anyhow, guys, I think that's gonna be it for this video. Stay tuned for the up and coming videos on the Cummins, and I hope you guys are as excited as I am for this thing. I'll see you in the next video. Deuces.
Y'all know the recipe, I'm so saucy. They still trying to figure out how to put them in a coffin. Label the ingredient, loving my flavor. Swimming in the money, now I turned into a sailor. Y'all know the recipe, I'm so saucy. They still trying to figure out how to put them in a coffin.